Hey, good evening. Welcome to Felix Stowe Live, working in conjunction with Toothless in England. And we're looking tonight at the problem of dentistry in the UK. We have enormous problems, as you will know, if you've tried to find a dentist in the last few weeks, months, and perhaps years. People are having enormous trouble getting dental health, even in emergencies. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So the first thing to do is introduce our guests tonight. We've got Dan Ross, who comes from Manchester, and he runs, or he's the leader, let's say, I think really is the phrase, for Toothless in Manchester. And we'll come to you in a minute, young Dan. And then we've got Mark Jones, who is one of the people who kicked off the whole ball, and it's a bit scary, but it's all right, really. And unless you're a member of Parliament, in that case, he might lay one on you. But the reality is that these people and others across the country are working hard to try and sort out dental provision on the National Health Service in the UK, in England, in the UK, wherever. Let's try and get everybody a dentist. First person I'm going to talk to is, or get to talk to us, is Dan Ross, who runs or leads Toothless in Manchester. Young Dan, are you ready for this?
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Chris.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I thought really it'd be a useful opportunity tonight to just give you a bit of an update as to how the campaign's going. We spoke to you back in February, which really was very much in its infancy, the Manchester campaign. I think it'd only been going for a couple of weeks at that point. I mean, since then, we've started to sort of embed ourselves a little bit. And when we've prepared, various bits of literature, leaflets, posters and banners, all the sorts of the bread and butter that's necessary for a grassroots campaign such as this one. I'd mentioned to you a couple of weeks ago that we had set up some social media profile as well. We'd set up a Facebook group at the time. We've since set up a Facebook page as well as an Instagram and a Twitter account. I checked some of the followings recently. We've got up to, I think it's 93 followers we have on the Facebook group. The more recent page we set up, we have 23 at the moment, 58 followers on Instagram, 47 on Twitter. So we are making some headway in terms of our profile on social media. We put together our first of hopefully many stalls in the city centre of Manchester a few weeks ago. I think it was during the midst of the storm season. We got quite a lot of interest from sort of general members of the public. I find it quite interesting sometimes where there's a difference between having to get attention from people and people coming and voluntarily coming to speak to us. And it was very much a case of the latter. I think people had seen the blue and white colours, and I think anything that's related to healthcare and the NHS particularly does draw some attention. So we were able to get quite a lot of interest from people at that point. Spoke to one lady in particular, I remember, who is a practicing dentist in, I think, South Manchester somewhere. We had quite a good conversation with her. She was really able to reflect precisely some of the concerns that we're seeking to address, things like their inability to offer NHS care at the surgery, just the full awareness that there are practitioners leaving the profession locally and nationally. So things like that we've really been trying to sort of ram home ourselves. And I think an important lesson that I think we took from just actually speaking to people was there were a lot of people that were really asking whether we were targeting the profession and maybe singling out or seeking to somehow undermine dentistry itself and practitioners. And it's very much not the case. And I think it's really important that we make the point that we're actually, if anything, trying to support practitioners and dentists, and that really what we're trying to target here is, near two decades of crippling government underfunding and chronic lack of support from central government. So I think it is really important just to make that point, that we're very much trying to support dentists and their ability to offer care in the best way they possibly can in the country. More recently, the Saturday just gone, that was Saturday the 5th of March, one of our campaigners, Susie, was invited to speak at the cost of living demonstration in the city centre, which really was fantastic to get that invitation. And she did a fantastic job as well, giving a bit of an update as to where we are and what the campaign is seeking to address and to secure. really drawing attention to the fact that, for instance, 2,000 dentists have left the profession in the past couple of years. The funding has been slashed for 30%. Sort of knock-on effects, people are failing to have regular checkups with the dentists quite frequently, leading to all sorts of complications and knock-on effects, which we'd had discussed previously. In fact, when we will recall, we were looking at some of the case studies and reports that we had from people about having to perform things like self-extractions, relatively straightforward treatable conditions like gum disease, which was leading to really quite unpleasant conditions like I think a young lady I remember had to lose a couple of her front teeth on the back of a quite straightforward and treatable condition. I mean, the point was really just was underlined by Susie on Saturday, that it's not dentists that we're targeting or seeking to criticise, and it's not the profession. It's that through lack of funding and support, we have essentially got a system which is unfit for purpose. We recently also made a request via Freedom of Information from the NHS BSA. The BSA is the Business Services Authority of the NHS. I'm not going to rattle out a load of boring statistics here, but there are some quite eye-opening figures that were contained in there. I mean, for instance, 2.5 million courses of treatment have been lost in the Greater Manchester area. And since I think January 2019 to January 2020, that includes 800,000 lost courses of treatment for children. And I mean, when you sit back and think about those figures, they are quite staggering. There's 2.5 million courses of treatment that have been lost, 800,000 for children. I mean, the figures really speak for themselves, I think. I think just in conclusion then as well, I mean, in terms of the updates that I gave previously, we have still been trying to contact surgeries around the region, seeking any information as to whether they offer NHS dental care or accept new NHS patients. You probably won't be too surprised to learn that we haven't really made any headway on that front. We haven't received any real progressive update on that in terms of dentists offering or providing or indeed accepting NHS services. And finally, just is our ongoing attempts to try to garner some interest in with local politicians, local MPs and local government representatives. Again, we're not making a great deal of headway on that front, which doesn't mean to say that we don't continue to try. I know a lot of the other campaigners in Manchester have, as far as I know, have not had a great deal of success. From my own experience, I live in a local council ward of 3 local Labour MPs who have had some very limited and qualified offers of support. One of them did suggest they maybe help us out in their capacity as what they refer to as an ordinary citizen. I think we can expect and we'll certainly be striving for more support from local Labour councillors in the council chamber, and perhaps as we grow the campaign, perhaps we can expect to see more of that in the future. I have contacted a couple of our local MPs. There's Mark Logan from Bolton North East, who has actually offered or certainly expressed some interest in maybe supporting or certainly looking into more detail about the campaign. So I'd be very interested to see how that one goes and maybe give you some substantive updates on that again in the future. My own MP, Christian Wakeford, I'm yet to hear from personally. I would probably just qualify that by saying that he has been quite distracted with some, shall we say, high-profile political shenanigans in the past few weeks. So perhaps we'll wait to hear from him in due course. But yeah, I mean, so that really is where we're up to at the moment. But I mean, just to reiterate what I said a moment ago, I mean, we're trying to establish a bit of political recognition. The only real way that we can achieve that is through the grassroots approach, which is to try to build our reputation and to build our name recognition and to get some public support. And really, that's very much going to be achieved through exposure such as this channel. So yeah, very, very grateful indeed for getting the opportunity to give the update tonight.
Well, that's great. I'm really delighted to have you here because it's demonstrating very clearly, Dan, that this whole effect is going right across the country, and right across the country there are people like you working your butts off to try and actually achieve something. And I think the more work that gets done, the more impact we're going to make, and we will start inviting some of the, I think I'm a bit dodgy about using this phrase, guys, but the great and good, because most of the great aren't particularly good. So I think we'll try and get more people involved and get more people to do stuff. But what I'd say to you, Dan, is more power to you, mate. And I'm sure that this young man, Mark Jones, agrees with him. Mark, how are things nationally? Because the Toothless movement is kind of spreading still, isn't it?
You're absolutely right. And really want to echo what Dan was saying, really. Public support and political support is key in any campaign. And as I've said many a time, we hear the word crisis used within the context of the National Health Service. Various streams of healthcare provided through the NHS are in crisis at the moment. And it's only through actions of the public, actions of campaigners, together with the political establishment, that is going to be able to raise the profile within the corridors of power, within the Treasury and within Parliament, and also the NHS commissioners as well. And you know, Manchester is doing a great job at the moment. They've got you know, several people who are, you know, putting a bit of a shift in when they're able to get data for the campaign locally. And it's really important that the public support the campaign because we're doing it for them. This is not for us. We're not here to, you know, be in the spotlight. The spotlight really needs to focus on the ministers responsible, the health ministers responsible, the NHS commissioners, and the Treasury. That they need to pull their fingers out and really get a proper service, properly funded, fair to the dentist, as Dan went to lengths to say. You know, we're not knocking the dentists at all. They've been painted into a corner, not through their own actions, but by the actions of successive governments just ignoring this crisis. And it is a very real crisis. And well, you know, again, thank you again, Chris, for picking up on this campaign and for Felixstowe Live. I mean, I know we're just a small town in the grand scheme of things in the corner of England. You know, there's one road in and one road out, but you're doing a sterling job of helping with that public support and awareness and understanding. You and others and other local groups as well, you know, local residential groups are also talking about this issue as well. You know, one off the top of my head would be Leiston. There's a Leiston group, Leiston Chit Chat, who have been fantastic in support for this campaign. And you know, we're not going to stop. As you've heard me say this many times, and I've said it on various occasions, and I did last night when I was speaking with Kings Lynn and District Trades Council. I was very kind of them to invite me to speak to their members there, that we're not giving up until we get our demands met. It's as simple as that, because those demands are what you and I and everybody else should expect from the NHS, a proper, fully funded service that is fit for purpose, fit for the 21st century.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Dan, I just want to do one more thing before we go. The thing that really hit me about what you said was the sheer numbers, especially the numbers of kids who have missed out on dental treatment. I mean, we must be building up an immense amount of trouble in the future. Would you hit us with those numbers again, please, mate? Because I just thought they were staggering.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a freedom of information request through the NHS's BSA, so you can look these figures up, or you can certainly search for them. But yeah, 2.5 million, 2.5 million courses of treatment that have been lost in Greater Manchester, which includes 800,000 children. Sorry, 800,000 courses of treatment for children.
That is just staggering. And I think, if anybody, whoever's watching this program, if you take that figure away in your head,